Hello everyone and welcome back to the NPC Dungeon, and welcome back to the story that I started a few weeks ago. If you don't remember, this is the story of Alice, the Kitsune Rogue Cleric, Subject 66, the B-Rex Rogue Druid, Seraphina, the Angel Paladin, and Inky, the Mushroom Warlock Sorcerer, a group just as interesting as they sound. If you haven't seen the first two episodes in the series, I'll leave a link below and a card above, but to briefly recap, after being attacked by imps, Subject 66 found a ticket for Ogthal's Cave of Mysterious Wonders, an attraction to a nearby circus. The other players ended up receiving similar tickets as well, Seraphina as a means of investigating a murder that she was helping to solve, Inky on a mission for her wizard patron, Verpero Scalfo, and Alice just as a fun pastime. After all, she did just come to this town for the drinks, so she thought, why not? They convened at the circus, found their way onto Ogthal's wagon, and promptly crashed when Subject 66 tried to attack the imp driver. The imp transformed into a bat and flew away, leaving the group stranded in the Dead Holt, the decaying forest they had found themselves in. And so this is where we begin. So what happened? Well, to start off, Alice and Subject 66 turned to run out of there, but didn't get very far after leaving Seraphina and Inky behind when a number of vultures swooped down, swarming overhead. In the tops of their heads, the party could see a swollen cranium radiating some pulsing purple arcane energy. Alice and Subject 66 thought it'd be wiser to return to the party and face us together, but the vultures didn't attack. Instead, a voice pierced into their heads saying, "So you were the chosen four. No matter. There have been others before you, and after you fail, there will be more, and even if you are the ones to succeed, I still will gain some advantage." And before long, the vultures dispersed, leaving the party to try and digest this on their own. And as they did, another wagon rolled in. This one stopped before them as the doors flew open and a set of stairs folded out. And into their lives walked the unforgettable Zunzanok the Defiant, a chained devil dressed in ostentatious and tight-fitting clothes like those of an acrobat or a daredevil. Decorative flames adorned the fabric and chains hung on every limb. He descended the steps, one after the other, and gave the players his winning smile before saying, "You're coming with me." The party was dumbfounded and understandably demanded an explanation. As it turned out, the Zunzanok was just about as much in the dark as they were. The ringleader from the devilish circus he had come from had sent him to gather up this group and take them to the caves. Apparently, they were the only ones who could open it, whatever that means. Then, once inside, it didn't matter what happened to them. Zunzanok was to retrieve a stone of incredible power and bring it back, a stone which sounded familiar to Inky. At least her mentor was telling the truth, but she couldn't help be suspicious. "And what if we don't? That would be most unfortunate," Zunzanok replied, snapping his fingers. Hidden flaps in the roof of the carriage opened up and out jumped three goat-like humanoids dressed in tricorn hats and eye patches. They flipped and somersaulted, all the more impressive since one had a peg leg and another a hook for a hand, until stopping and staring down at the players. As entertaining as these flying goatmen were, my players did want to fight them, and were all too suspicious of this Zunzanok character. So dejectedly they stepped inside, and the interior of the wagon was even more ostentatious than Zunzanok. The interior was much larger to start than what the exterior seemed to be capable of holding. Paintings of himself lined the walls, and tables and furnishings were decorated with whimsical little sculptures bent and twisted into all manner of nonsensical convoluted shapes. Large cushiony sofas were arranged across the room, on which sat the three flying goatmen. By the way, I have mentioned this trio before on this channel in my series on player immersion. If you're curious and want to check that one out, feel free to do so. But aside from all of this, Alice's eyes bulged with the massive kitchen full with tables covered in sample after sample of finely cooked food. The rest sat as far away from the goatmen as possible as Alice strolled over to the buffet. "Help yourselves," Zunzanok said uncomfortably, finally getting a read on the room. "We're all friends here, right?" Then he clapped his hands together and strolled to the front, saying that he had to drive after he fired his last driver, the imp who was supposed to have captured the players after all. He suddenly shook with anger, ran his fist into the wall, and disappeared into the driver's seat, laughing cheerfully from the other side. After discussing their predicament and their discomfort at their strange driver, and taking some time to play with some of the buttons they found throughout this vehicle, a loud thud crashed against the roof and ripped off one of the flaps that the goatman had emerged from earlier. An amalgamated mass of vines and foliage dropped in from overhead, taking on a vaguely humanoid shape. It was decayed and rotted and stunk like mold and mildew, but the goatmen flew into action, brandishing cutlasses and climbing out as more of these creatures began to emerge from the surrounding wilderness, leaving the players to fight off the one from the inside. But it wasn't long before another broke in. One grappled hold of Alice as Inky hurled spell after spell at it. Another fell before the front of them, smashing its body against the windshield. The players heard Zunzanok yelp from the front as the wagon lurched, and it wasn't long before the plant creature was flung off and thrown under the wagon's wheels. As yet another latched onto the side of the carriage and threatened to bust its way in as one of the goatmen swung by on a vine from apparently nowhere and slashed at the beast until it finally relented. This happened a second time, and this goatman wasn't so lucky. He fell to the ground, left behind as the creature knocked him away. Seraphina avenged him by slashing one of her swords across the thing until it fell limply to the ground with its prey, and the other goatman pleaded to stop, but Zunzanok only barked that they were to continue. "It won't be long now," he said. "We're almost out of it." Lost in the action, Subject 66 turned invisible and swept up behind the one holding Alice, Alice, plunging his blade deep into it. It soon fell as Seraphina finished off one more. Zinzanok emerged into the cabin once again, the wagon driving itself as damaged as it was now. Wait, said Inky, who's driving this thing? Oh, I am, said Zinzanok. Seraphina swung for him. You mean you could have helped that whole time? The blow connected, but Zinzanok's form vanished as he reappeared behind them, reclined on a large armchair. Yes, but that wouldn't have been any fun. Then his face grew grim and serious, and I recommend you not try that again. He smiled and rose from the chair, yawning. Well, that was fun, but I recommend we get some sleep. Wait, Alice objected. You expect us to just follow you without getting anything in return? Yes, he said like it was common sense. Well, I think we should prepare. Oh, you need equipment, replied Zinzanok. I'll call some of my merchant friends. They'll meet us here in the morning. Now, please, I beg you, let me sleep. I'm tired from all that excitement. He raised his hand and outlined a pattern against the wall. A door appeared and he disappeared through it. He'd better follow through. Inky couldn't help but blurting as he disappeared. Well, Seraphina replied, all we can do is wait for now. And that's where I'm ending off this week's story. I hope it was entertaining, and of course, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out this week's other video. It's all about ending off the campaign, and feel free to come back next week where I'll talk about player engagement and continue this tale. Again, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, let's learn something.